probably about a 6-foot long fish, very common this time of year.
And these guys are so cunning. He's seen that many lures and hooks and flies.
That is sport fishing action at its absolute best.
That is a cracker. Look at it. Oh! G'day, I'm Rob Paxavanis and welcome to Fishing Australia. If you've ever travelled the Hume Highway between Sydney and Melbourne, chances are you would have travelled straight past this place, the beautiful Tumut Valley. Tumut Valley has 3 big impoundments, Talbingo at the top, Jounama Pondage here behind me and Blowering down below. There's some absolutely awesome fishing for brown trout, rainbow trout, golden perch, redfin and the mighty Murray cod. So come on, let's go and fish this little scene side of the Snowy Mountains. This is the mighty Talbingo Dam, one of the deepest dams in the Snowy scheme and also one of the deepest dams in the Southern Hemisphere. It's got some great fishing for rainbow trout, brown trout and redfin. Let's go put the boat in and see how we go. We're going to start off with a bit of trolling. That's your typical size trout lure there. Trolling along at a fast walking pace and it just wriggles along. Or the speed, to be exact, is just enough to get it working. And some lures need a little bit more speed and others a little bit slower, otherwise they blow out of the water and don't work. Now, very important to have some super sharp trebles on there. They're size 12, chemically sharpened, really nice light treble. Sets in the fish's mouth very easily and you'll catch a lot more fish that way. Now, the other thing I'm doing, normally troll, say 1 or 2 of those well back, and they generally go anywhere between, say, 2 and 6 feet deep. They're not deep divers. But what we do after that is I have another little trick up my sleeve. This is known as a boom. It's very popular in the States, but they're not popular in Australia, not yet anyway. What they do is you have a sinker there, and that takes your lure down deeper to where there might be more trout. Very handy for trolling a small lure down deep. Finally got our first fish. It's no monster trout or anything like that, but it's a redfin, also known as an English perch. You catch these year round. They are actually a cold water fish. You tend to get the smaller ones in the warmer months, and this is about an average size. There's much bigger in here, and in these cooler months, hopefully we can pin a bigger one for you. Now, they're an introduced fish. They're a pest. You're not obliged by law to put them back, but it's a good thing to keep them. They do make quite good eating. You need quite a few at that size to make a meal, but best thing's to pop them straight in the esky, and they are a really good tasting fish, the old English perch or redfin. Got another redfin on here. If the big trout aren't biting, redfin are a good backup. Now, they're only small. That's, believe it or not, it's about the average size. They just breed in plague proportions. They, in fact, breed so prolifically that they stunt their own growth. They just get in such large numbers, they go through in big schools and eat everything. Now, it might look like a small fish. I mean, the average probably from there to about there, but you can literally, once you get onto a school, catch hundreds of them. And they're quite a good fish because you can skin them, and if you get plenty of them, they make a really nice feed. They are a perch. We're called English perch, so they are a good eating fish. So if you get on top of them, find a school on the sounder and drop down. Now, this rig I've got, I'll just show you quickly, has got a little softy on the top. It's quite an interesting little rig. Tiny little softy there that's unweighted. And then below that, this is something new we're working on, and it seems to be working really well, is a much heavier softy. Now, that allows you to get to the bottom really quick. So the redfin here today are about 30, 40 feet down. That gets you down there. The little one catches the redfin. Where that redfin is sort of thrashing around, there's a good chance of getting a trout or a bigger redfin or sometimes even a Murray cod or something like that on this bigger lure. It works really well, works in the estuaries as well. So the double softy rig, a good one to use, especially if you want to bag out on redfin. Let's drop it back down. Beautiful. I'm with Martin van der Stap, who's the area manager for Snowy Hydro in the Lower Tumut area. Welcome to Fishing Australia.
Thanks, Rob.
It's a pleasure to have you here. Now, I believe Snowy Hydro is working in with anglers and also national parks to help maintain access for some of the wonderful spots that you can visit up here.
Yeah, mate. Over the years, we've worked pretty well in with national parks and the local community, and establish some of the facilities, the boat ramps, that sort of stuff as well. And and working very well with fisheries and they're helping out with replenishing stocks and that sort of stuff as well. So.
Yeah. We've only had a sneak preview at this place. It could take you 10 years to look around. There's some absolutely magnificent countryside, and so people can come and see those things into the future with help of people like you.
Yeah, mate. Basically, it's open access, public access every day of the year.
Yeah.
And it's good facilities around the place. We've done a lot of work as far as with toilets and picnic areas, that sort of stuff, with, once again, national parks.
Yep, it's a beautiful boat ramp here at Talbingo.
It's great, yeah.
Yeah, well, thanks for your time, mate. It's absolutely fantastic to hear that.
Cheers, thanks, Rob.
Snowy Hydro has created a special fishery here in the mountains, and it's good to see that the authorities are behind keeping it that way. Beautiful stuff. I'm down at Blowering Dam. Now, normally, Blowering Dam is a huge place, but in this drought at the moment, the water levels are down around 10%. In fact, so low is the water that I'm actually launching my boat where the old Snowy Mountains Highway used to run along the riverside. Now, low water is not a good thing for farmers and all the other people who need water, but for anglers in a big impoundment like this, it's not such a bad thing because the fish are normally in a really big area and now they're concentrated into a much smaller area. So sometimes that makes the fishing a little easier. However, Blowering is also known for its calm conditions. They break a lot of water skiing and boat speed records on this lake because it is often very calm, and it's pretty calm here today. So the fish might be a little bit tentative at first, but hopefully if we fish hard, we can catch your fish. Now there's redfin, golden perch, Murray cod, rainbow trout and brown trout, just to name a few. Let's get the boat in the water and see if we can catch you a few of these fantastic fish and have a look around this wonderful Blowering impoundment in the Tumut Valley. Let's get into it. Finally, that has been the hardest to catch golden perch I've ever encountered in a long, long time of chasing them. I'll just get him up there with a comfort lift. Golden perch, if you get your hand under their belly, they often relax, usually relax, and you can get them on their side like that. We've been going all day long, absolutely all day long without a touch here at Blowering Dam, and we have tried everything. We've tried for trout, we've tried for this, and all day long we've had lures in that could catch yellow belly and could catch trout. But this is the first fish we've caught. Now, it's an important lesson there. It's the colder months. We're actually in the middle of winter. And I think, or the reason I came to this spot where we are is because we're in a shallow bay and it's north facing. So it gets the sunlight all day. It's probably one of the warmer places in the dam. In fact, we checked it with our sound and it was one of the warmer places. So these golden perch in the middle of winter, they're looking for warmer water. So you've got to understand your target species that you're after and try to predict where they're going to be. Now, just the last part of the evening is when the water's going to be at its warmest, and also it's the time that these guys come out, just on sunset. It's a beautiful fish, and I've had to go down to a tiny little lure with tiny little trebles, because if you pick a treble that's half the size that's normally on that lure, you need about a quarter as much pressure to set it. They're really easy to set a light treble. So there's our golden perch there, a fantastic native Australian fish, and I'm absolutely relieved to catch that one on the siren. I'm going to unhook him and probably put him back in the water, because I'll tell you what, we might catch a couple yet, but fantastic stuff. Blowering, see, native species here. Up the top end you've got trout, Jounama's got trout in the middle and redfin, and Blowering's got golden perch. Wonderful stuff. Oh, our luck's changed for the better here. I'm just going to net this fish. It's a brown trout. There's a lot of brown trout. Oh, there you go. In Blowering as well. And we were really struggling to catch fish here, but they've just come on in the evening. So you've really got to try and fish those periods when the fish are going to bite. I just about had the white flag out at 4 o'clock, but I thought, no, we'll keep going. Sort of the hare and the tortoise thing, you know. Slow and steady wins the race. There's our brown trout there. Now I'm actually going to keep him as well because he's a nice sized fish to eat. Brown trout aren't native to this area. They've been introduced, they've been here for a long time. They form a large part of the sporting tradition in this area. These are stocked by the Tumut Acclimatisation Society in this area, and also in the dams above in Jounama and Talbingo. We tried to get one of these in Talbingo and we didn't get it, but we got one here. He'd be a small one for here. There's some absolute thumpers in Blowering Dam. There you go, the brown trout. So you have some introduced species that are a wonderful sporting fish and some native fish as well. So what a wonderful place. I'm going to unhook him and pop him in the esky because he's a good eating fish. He's in good nick. He's a perfect size to keep, and it's a put and take fishery. They're stocked. Beautiful. The Talbingo Lodge here used to boom with activity when the Snowy Hydro scheme was being built. Now it's a wonderful, cosy little restaurant with some beautiful coffee. I'm just going to stop in for a cup of inspiration before we hit our next fishy location here in the Tumut Valley. Okay, I've managed to get the trifecta, which is trout, golden perch, which you've already saw, and now a redfin. And these are the sort of fish that you do target over winter. Big redfin come out in winter. You get the smaller ones over summer, but he's a beautiful fish. And believe it or not, sometimes he's the average size for here, probably about a pound and a half. Absolutely beautiful eating fish. They love those red and black lures. I think they see it as being like a territorial or aggressive sort of response. That red in front flashes and the black behind it, and they really love red and black. Redfin do love red and black lures. I've caught thousands of them, and it's probably the best colour for them. I'm going to put him in the esky, and I'll tell you what, I've got pretty much a buffet of seafood there. I've got redfin, trout, golden perch, you name it. What a fantastic place, Blowering Dam. Magic stuff. Any bites? Been getting any last few days at all, or? We've been lucky enough to score onto a second fish here now. It's important, we found a couple of fish in the shallows right on dusk. We were going all day long, and it would have been very easy for us to pack it in. But the important thing about fishing, I've got a pretty heavy trace on that in case I pick up a cod or something, so I was able to bring that yellow belly straight in. The important thing is not to leave when the fish are about to bite. Golden perch, dawn and dusk predominantly. You would sometimes get a bite during the day. I used to take people out on charters for these fish, and I found there might be a couple of hours where they bite through the day, but predominantly dawn and dusk. There's no current, there's not a lot of other factors in this lake that affect them outside dawn and dusk. So if you've been fishing since dawn and it's about 4 o'clock, don't take off. Like if we had it taken off at 4 o'clock, we wouldn't have caught that fish. I've got him there on a prawn star lure. That lure imitates a shrimp. The moon's dark at the moment, so the shrimp come out of the weed and logs and they move around, so it's very important to imitate a lure or imitate what you think the fish are feeding on. That's a beautiful golden perch, also known as a callop, down in South Australia, or a yellow belly for obvious reasons. They live throughout the Murray-Darling Basin. They're stocked into some Queensland impoundments, but they're a wonderful sport fish. A little bit lethargic in winter. They tend to just have a bit of a fight and then give up. But the real fun is trying to catch them in the first place. So I'm going to pop him in the esky, this one, because they make a great fish at that size to steam or do as a Thai dish. Bigger than that, they get very fatty, so he's your perfect size specimen. Feed a couple of people. What a wonderful time it's been at Blowering Dam. The last of the big dams in a row in the Tumut Valley, and there's still plenty to do here on the Fishing Australia show in this wonderful place. I'm back with Martin van der Stap from Snowy Hydro. Now, we're at the Tumut 3 power station. Pretty awesome engineering structure, this one.
Yeah, mate, she's the biggest hydro power station in Australia.
Wow.
We've got 6 250 megawatt generators, and 3 of them are pump units, so they actually have a bit of an impact on keeping the level at Talbingo Dam up, and also the fluctuations in the water level in Jounama.
Yeah, fantastic. So the water each day comes out of these dams and generates more water for people far and wide.
Yeah, the water gets released through the gates, and
Yep.
And we kick the units in on generation depending on peak loads.
Yep.
And then an off-peak at night time we'll pump back out of the lake, and
Yep.
so we're just recycling, and it's a renewable energy, which is what we sort of supply.
A renewable energy, and it also maintains that Talbingo. That's a spectacular dam, keeps it pretty much full all the time. How far does that power go?
All over the eastern
As far as
seaboard
Sydney
of
and Melbourne?
Sydney, Melbourne.
Yeah.
We supply into Victoria and New South Wales.
And the other fantastic thing about it is Jounama, which is behind me down there, the water level rises up and down. It creates a pretty special fishery. I think we'll go and have a look at that. We've come down to Jounama Pondage. Now the beautiful thing about Jounama Pondage is that water releases from Talbingo above and then water releases out of Jounama into Blowering below create a fluctuating water level. It's one of few dams in the Snowy Hydro scheme that actually has its water coming up and down regularly, so the grass around the edges is always fresh, which means there's a lot of food and insects and all sorts of other things that the trout can feed on, and also it's a very pretty place. One of the prettiest dams in the Snowies. Now Phil, Brumby's been a local here for a long time. What's the average size fish in here, mate?
Probably about 3.5 pound.
Yeah,
Rob.
And a mix of browns and rainbows?
There has been a greater influx through the Tumut acclimatisation and the local Talbingo boys.
Yep. So they're stocked in here. There's some absolutely big fish in here. I've seen them now. We're using a new technique here today. There's a lot of yabbies in this dam. That's something we're starting to get results on. That yabby actually, you cast it out, it sinks to the bottom, and then when it sits on the bottom, you jig it, but when it falls back to the bottom each time, it's actually got a cavity in its head, so it sits upright, and that's why it works so well. And you can actually get trout on a slack line. They'll pick it up and race off with it. You can stick a bit of bait down the mouth of it there to spice it up if you have to, but they tend to work pretty well just as they are. And it's a real exciting form of fishing, and it's a brand new way to catch trout in this country at least. And I've got my money on Phil. Let's get it in and see how we go. Into it, mate.
No worries.
Phil Brumby has kicked a goal on the siren here. We hope this fish holds on. He's got it pretty much beat. It's a big old mean brown trout, and it's a beautiful fish. What, 7 pound maybe, Phil?
Yeah, 6.5, 7 pound, Rob.
Now, you know, we've been going at it all day long, and we finally got one, but that is the average size fish. Well, probably about 5 pounds the average. Phil, you've done it again, Mr. Phil Brumby. What a beautiful fish. Now,
fantastic.
He's just got that yabby there on the front there, and he nailed it, mate.
Yeah, that's one of the little, one of the new soft plastics, mate. They work very well in the soft water. They are a yabby pattern, and being these are a predator fish.
Yeah, yep.
They're jigged up, very similar to salt water.
Yep.
They also chase down the smaller rainbows and that this time of the year, and they do like something a little bit larger rather than your normal worms and stuff like that.
Now, you used to guide up here, you've been here for 15 years. They're not easy, but it's well worth it when you finally get one. I mean, you can go for a couple of days, you see quite a few, but when you get one, geez, isn't it a buzz? We've I just about had the white flag out here this arvo.
It's been hard fishing, Rob, due to the cold water coming through from the other dams. As we've tried the top ones, we didn't do much. The bottom ones, it's been a bit colder down here. We had a great time in Blowering yesterday.
Yeah. So what we're going to do with this one, mate, he's a big old buck, is it? Male?
Yeah, male with a big hooked jaw there, very predatory. Nice set of dentures there.
Yeah.
Got more than me.
Yeah. Now what gets me about these fish is they've got such beautiful soft fins. So they're soft on the outside, yet they're such predators. They've got teeth on their tongue and a big set of teeth on their jaw as well. They're a fascinating fish, aren't they, mate?
They're a great sporting fish, and for the getting into them with the softies now rather than conventional fly, worms, bait.
Yeah, it's a bit something different. It's another challenge.
It gives them something a little bit different to look at, and that's your reward for the day. Fantastic.
Let's get this bloke back in the water. I'll unhook him. Well done, Phil. Well, that brings to an end another great show. I'm just checking out here at the Talbingo Caravan Park. A great place to stay if you ever come up this way. It's right on Jounama Pondage. Before I go, I'd like to say a special thanks also to the Talbingo Country Club for their wonderful meals each night. They've got a Chinese restaurant in there that's pretty handy after a hard day's fishing. And also, I'd like to say thanks to Talbingo Lodge. They put on some great coffee and food for lunch, and it was really appreciated. In fact, the whole town got behind us. I've got a couple of big days driving ahead of me before my next destination. I'll catch you there, same time, same place here on the Fishing Australia show.